We're off. Okay. Hi. Hi everyone. Welcome back. Today's not going to be as serious as was last time. Last time when I talked about grief, as I've said and as I've put everywhere in the socials, highlighting who was the inspiration for making that last video. I wanted to go back to the topic of the first two videos, which is religion. And today I wanted to do something a little bit different. Not just my crazy ideas pitching in, but I wanted to reach out to some real life Christians and discuss what they have to say. And what better place to do it in than Reddit? Yes, we are entering this portion of the internet. Before we start, I would like to just point out that this video is made for educational purposes only, and is not intended to bully anyone, harass anyone. It is just an expression of some educational fallacies, and yeah, that's it. And maybe a little pinch of comedy. Let's begin. Okay, the point of this video is not to make fun of people. I wanted to stress that. I mean, if you're a Christian, okay, it's not my cup of tea. If it's yours, fine. Just don't be a dick about it. And obviously, I'm not a Christian. I'm anti-Christian, so to speak. And why? You'll see. As I have a bite at these comments and these stories, I've chosen two stories to go through, plus some comments. And let's dive in. Topic: divorce, loneliness, and sex. So we're starting off a bit steamy. And okay, here goes. I am 29 female, and I am currently going through divorce. My husband, 32 male, and I were married for 6 years and have one child together. I discovered almost 4 months ago that he had been cheating on me since the day we met. Not with one woman, but with several over the years. When confronted with it, he demanded I forgave him and let it go, literally within 2 hours of the confrontation. When I expressed that it wasn't that simple, he packed his things and said some hateful things to myself and our child, and he got in the car and left. He has always been emotionally abusive, but the cheating and the way he left things took the cake. I finally had enough. Fast forward 4 months, and he has lost custody of the time for the 4 months forward. My brain isn't working. It stopped. My brain is feeling the coming dread. Fast forward 4 months, and he has lost custody for the time being of our son for his erratic and dangerous behavior. I work 2 full-time jobs and parent full-time. I am so lonely that my heart aches. Even though he has only been gone 4 months, I felt single at least a year before that. He stopped investing in me a long time ago, and the loneliness is palpable. I try to keep busy. I obviously work a lot because I need to keep a roof over our heads. I spend my free time cleaning, taking my child to the park, going to lunch with friends, etc. But the loneliness I feel always is indescribable. I stopped going to church because ever since my husband left, I feel like a leper. Almost like divorce is contagious or something. All of a sudden, no one knows how to talk to me, and I'm tired of going and trying to talk to people only to feel avoided. Lastly, I'm so emotionally wrecked that I don't even know where to start healing. Do I start with the pain of being cheated on and left, or the betrayal, or the trust issues? Like, I don't even know where to begin. All the while trying to explain to a toddler that daddy doesn't live with us anymore. As a Christian, I am wrestling a lot, and the worst part is, all I want to do is go out and have casual sex, even though I know it's wrong. I haven't, but I want to. Because I have such strong sex hormones that it's like being a teenager, and now I'm going to have to wait years to have sex again if it's going to be with a spouse. I don't know. I'm just having such a hard time. Okay, before we go to the comments, this is a horrible, horrible, horrible situation. A horrible scenario. The guy was a complete dick. He left this woman and their child and just disappeared, vanished into thin air. Well, okay, not vanished into thin air because he lost custody. The way this guy treated this woman is indescribable. Okay, so yeah, that's something. You'd have to be a real dick to do that, to do something like that. What that guy did was absolutely horrible, and he shouldn't have done it, obviously. So that's something you are absolutely devastated after experiencing. That much we know, and I really strongly sympathize with that woman and feel really, really sorry that she has to go through that experience and the whole ordeal, especially with their son and everything. So that's absolutely horrible. Okay, that much we do know, we do realize. What is her situation in the context of religion? Well, she's a Christian, as she says, and according to her faith, casual sex is wrong. Any kind of sex outside of wedlock is considered sin. I feel really bad for her. I mean, it's not that I feel anyhow superior or anything because I don't have these this Christian ethics code that no sex is allowed out of wedlock and things like that. But it sounds like she's going through a lot of pain. I strongly believe that she deserves to go out and do whoever she wants, to be free and just, have fun and feel satisfied and accomplished and whatnot. So that's how I feel. That's I mean, even with no knowledge whatsoever about how she's feeling about sex, I mean about those urges that she puts it. When you have a high sex drive, it's absolutely. I think you can all imagine that it's absolutely excruciating to be not able to satisfy those needs. Not that, well, at least that's what I gather from what she says. That must be a real ordeal and a lot of pain, and that's not something anyone should have to go through. But let's see what other Christians have to say about this. One person says, "Sorry to hear your situation. This is where you utilize the greatest promise Jesus promised us, the Holy Spirit. Ask God to help with your emotions to make it manageable, and I promise He will. From stress, loneliness, lack of sex, anxiety, you name it. He is capable and willing to help if you ask Him to do so. Through the Spirit, He can help you and guide you greatly. God bless." Okay, so if you pray to God, somehow magically you won't feel like you want to have sex? Is God, will God sterilize her somehow? Will God make her not want sex? What if she marries again? Is the sex gonna come back? Will she want to have sex again? I don't know. I mean, I used to be really religious, and I used to be really close to the Catholic Church. And as one priest said it, don't pray to God not to have these urges, because your testicles will fall off. Yes, that's exactly what the guy said. A 50-year-old guy who supposedly has never had some is giving advice on sexual matters. I mean, okay, I guess he would be a go-to person when it comes to not having sex, but still, those testicles falling off, I don't really think so. I don't really think that's how God works. Although people say he's almighty, so why not? And what in her case, what in the case of this woman, when she prays to God not to have these urges, what will happen then? Will her brain suddenly change? And it will function differently than it used to? What will happen? No one knows. And but yes, God is the ultimate answer to everything. If he's the answer to everything, why is there world hunger? Why are there wars? Why are children dying of cancer? Why are there mass shootings in schools? If he's such a loving, caring deity, why all that? If he's the answer to everything, give me an answer to that. Okay? Silence, as always. When it comes to giving up your freedom, God is there. But when it comes to actually giving a fuck, just silence. Let's see what another person has to say. I absolutely feel you. My wife just laid out separation. My wife just laid out separation 3 weeks ago and is acting like I am a complete stranger. We went from intimacy to zero touching allowed. I feel so alone because I invested every ounce of me into her, which was my problem all along. God should have been and should be my focus, and His will my purpose. Not even a spouse should replace that. I believe I am going through this trial in order to reach my higher self as God intends, and perhaps He is doing the same for you. DM me if needed. I'm crying every day in private, but praying my heart out loud. Another fantastic story. From a person who was left, and the only hope they have is hoping that God somehow will make things right or will help them somehow. How? Damned if I know. But that somehow God will help them. Not therapy. Nope. Not seeking professional help. God. Okay, and please keep in mind that I am saying this completely. I don't know where these people live. And I'm saying this completely out of context of what is going on currently in the United States and how available actual medical help is at the moment, and how much does therapy cost? Because I can only imagine not living in the US. I can only imagine from what I hear and from what information I can gather that it's not that good in the US right now. Not that it's any better anywhere else, but it's not worse. At least when it comes to average people, and I am assuming we are talking about average people. So yeah, this aside, another horrible story. Guys crying every night, and the only help he's willing to reach out for is God. Again, somehow. So yeah, that's what religion, that's what Christianity does to people. They are left completely alone when times get tough. I mean, there is no divine intervention, actually. I mean, you wait, you pray, you wait, you pray, you wait, you pray, until finally the placebo effect takes place, or you just, stop waiting because you bury deep down your hurts and your traumas, and you carry them throughout the rest of your life, not even realizing them. That's what happened to me, at least. And the last comment for this part. Honestly, February of this year, I had something similar happen. After church, my wife told me she had been talking to another man and she felt he would be able to better satisfy her sexually, and that they had been flirting, and she planned on cheating on me and wanted a divorce. We had been married 2.5 years, and I was shocked. I also have always been the one to initiate sex and always wanted it, so it was odd that she said someone else would be able to do something I had begged her to do with me. We were compatible when we married, so this just seems lame. She had been getting into drugs and spending less and less time at home, so there's that, but I won't say any more. I am now into September, 5 months later, and the reality of our divorce process is hitting me too. I also feel like it will be a long time before I have sex again, and it's different being single when it's not happening often. I also feel like it will be a long time before I have sex again, and it's different being single. Different being single when it's not happening often, but when you have something and it's taken from you, it almost makes things harder. Wow. So these are some really traumatic stories. Really scary, actually. And to be honest, though, I feel really sorry for those people. I mean, each and every one of them, a tragedy all on its own. So yeah, this is what the reality for Christians is. You get a divorce, you get screwed. Simple as that. And you have to wait for an eternity to have sex again until you go, if you have a high sex drive. I mean, okay, the human body has a regulatory system that if you don't get some for a very long time, your libido goes dormant somehow. Okay, so that it's becoming less painful. That's one thing, and another thing is it just vanishes from your compass. Let's say, so we are not that oriented on having sex and desiring something you can't have. But in the case of OP. That's a really shitty situation to be in. Christianity and sex, they just don't mix. I don't know what congregations these people are from, but from the perspective of the Catholic Church, when you get a divorce, from the perspective of the church, you are still married. So yeah, good luck with that. And even if you remarry later on in life, I mean, your spouse would have to die for you to remarry, and have a Catholic wedding and ceremony and get married again in church. If you get a divorce, you're screwed because you're still legally, according to the church, you are still religiously married. And you are excluded from... You are excluded from sacraments. And that's your reality then. I suppose for Christians in America, it's different. It's much easier because it would depend on the congregation, I think. But still, they are left with a perspective that they have to wait years before they have sex again. Years before anyone, before they can get intimate with someone. And that's just not how it's supposed to be. Having a sex drive is also a human need. And people just need the closeness, the emotional, being so emotionally engaged and physically. Orgasms release dopamine. Your happily works against depression even somehow, but you just can't. Let's have a look at the second story. God is love. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. That's wow. What do we mean when we say that God is love? Do we mean that God is loving? That love is merely a quality of God, or is it something more? To answer this question, I will ask another question. Is God able to create evil? It might be easy to want to say yes. After all, God is omnipotent. He can do whatever he wants, right? Yes and no. God cannot create evil, in part because evil is not a thing to be created, because to exist is to be good. Wow. Have you heard of cancer, my good friend? It exists. Is it good? Yeah, but that's something that person is picking up from one of the ancient philosophies. I don't remember which one, but I mean, you probably know there were so many philosophies in ancient times. For example, Greeks, the most prominent ones were obviously Plato and Aristotle, who saw the world differently and described it differently. But before them and after them, there was a great many deal of people who created various philosophies, and later on Christian philosophers took from them, redid those philosophies and attuned them to fit Christian faith and doctrine. And yeah, so this person probably is taking something from one of the philosophers. As I said, don't know which one. Honestly, I don't care, because this statement is really, really wrong and false. So if this person is talking in a philosophical tone, and logic derives from philosophy, because mathematics derives from philosophy also, we can scrap absolutely everything else this guy has to say, because he's making a statement based on an assumption that is simply wrong and false. I mean, I already gave at least one argument that that disproves this hypothesis. So it's not a theory; it's a wrong hypothesis. Neither can God perform an evil action, but not because of lack of ability. God is love. God is love. Imagine a man is on trial. We will call him Billy for murder. In Billy's defense, his lawyer makes the case that Billy could not have done it because Billy has a calm and peaceful temperament that would never hurt a fly. This is imperfect. This is an imperfect analogy because if Billy was in fact guilty, he would still be Billy, although people might view him a bit differently from then on. In the case of God, if God were to do something that is evil, he would literally cease to exist. Hey, maybe that's why we're not hearing from him anymore. Not that we ever did. In the case of God, if God were to do something that is evil, he would literally cease to exist. Love is God's essence. It is what makes God God. He must really... I mean, maybe we're getting this all mixed up. Maybe all the sicknesses and wars are, in fact, good for us. Maybe we're just doing people a huge service, sending them to God prematurely before they ever had a chance to live their lives. And, you know, all the sicknesses, all the things that happen from children, adult to everyone, cancer, depression, anxiety, everything that happens to people. Maybe it's a good thing, you know? If God is incapable of creating a bad thing because God is good and cannot do evil, and sickness exists, which is not being done by anyone, because I think, if I remember correctly, this person will also talk about that. Why then is there evil in the world? God created the world without evil. Like I mentioned before, evil is not a thing, but rather a lack of goodness. We define dryness as something that is not wet, or darkness as something that is not light. Just so, evil is something that is not good. It is the absence of goodness. God is all good, therefore God cannot be evil. There is evil in the world because God wishes that we be able to freely and perfectly love Him as He loves us. We are created for a divine love. Therefore, God gave us free will, and so not so that we could do evil, but so we could love Him. And this is complete mumbo jumbo. This is complete gibberish. This absolutely doesn't make sense. I mean, you hear this and you would think that this is logical, but rhetorical figures are also logical, and still no one would say that rhetorical figures prove or disprove points. They're just that, rhetorical figures that are supposed to influence the listeners, for them to perceive the speaker as the one having like the one who is telling the truth or who should be listened to. Therefore, therefore, God gave us free will, not so that we could do evil, but so we could love Him and be with Him. At the same time, though, by giving us free will, He had to allow for the possibility of evil to exist. He did not cause that evil. Didn't He? Or am I remembering Genesis a bit differently? Or did I read a different version of Genesis? Wasn't it God that created the tree of knowledge of good and evil? And evil? Wasn't it God who told that you shouldn't do something? Adam and Eve were just... Eve was just curious. The snake didn't give her the apple. He just asked questions. Simple as that. And she was curious. That was her only sin. You can't expect to give a demand without rhyme or reason and expect anyone to follow it blindly. Because you're not putting them in a position to love you. You are putting them in the position of a slave. We caused the evil. More specifically, it is Satan that said, hey, you know, you don't have to do what God says, right? By the way, this is why I find it horrifying that there are people who claim to be Christian that say we do not need to follow the Ten Commandments or any other part of God's law for the matter. It is the work of Satan. It is not what saves us, but it is still a requirement to maintain that salvation. Hence, we chose to disobey God. The fall is what gave us our broken and sinful nature, not God. I know this is a long post, but everything I discuss here is all related to each other. I am curious, if someone asked you, can God create evil? How would you respond? I am curious what people think it meant when we say God is love. This is not meant to be a debate, but hopefully share some of my insight into what I know it to mean. I would love to get other people's take on this concept, which lies at the heart of our faith. Does it though? I know love lies at the heart of the concept of Christianity, but is this really love when you are expected to obey blindly a set of rules without being given rhyme or reason or any kind of justification? It's just do this, don't do that, and you'll be golden. I, for one, would like to know why, would like to understand why, because that's how my brain works, and I've been created by God, right? So I am just supposed to shove all my curiosity up my ass and just don't do anything? I don't think so. I don't intend to. So yeah, two totally different stories, but exemplifying what Christians think of themselves and what traps are there in their faith. Traps, exactly, traps. because you talking from my own experience when I was a young enthusiastic Christian, Catholic for that matter. I was so full of myself and was so proud of myself, but not that I was proud of being Christian. I was proud of following God's will, I guess. But I would always feel better than other people, you know? I always felt like I was the chosen, and those other poor souls, well, I can't save them all. No, I can just be who I am if they don't want to listen. And obviously they didn't want to listen, and why would they? I was a teenager, for fuck's sake. Who would want to listen to a teenager? And when it came to religion, come on. That's not how things work. That was my experience. And the experiences of Christians are really heartbreaking, because good people give up their dreams, their hopes, their desires, their urges, what they biologically need to be healthy and to live and to thrive. So, closing comments and thoughts. Christians, I do really think, I do think that they are trapped, the Christians are trapped in their own religion, and they are not allowed to express themselves in a healthy way and fulfill their basic needs. So yeah, that's my take on it. And do with it what you will. This video was made for educational purposes only. Once again, it was not meant to bully anyone or harass anyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you will give it some thought. And yeah, thank you for being here. Have a good one. Is this always how this works? People really just blah 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 and just cut this whole fucking adjusting everything in the process? I don't know. I want to go sleep. My head itches. Maybe I'll have some blooper. Off with their head! Yeah.